Hey guys, welcome back to On Wednesdays We Talk Weird, where we talk about everything from the ooky
to the spooky.
So we've made it another week here with the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's been pretty. Are you going crazy yet?
A little bit. A little bit.
Same. It's pretty bad actually. I'm so excited. I can't wait for all this to be over. I'm gonna have the biggest party.
I'm excited because I got Animal Crossing and I have like 200 hours put in.
Thank God for Animal Crossing.
Right? And I got my Atlas Moth model, so we Gucci over here.
Put that time in. And it's like the only thing keeping everybody sane right now is Animal Crossing and fucking Tiger King.
Yeah.
So, well, something else also happened last week. It was 420.
Yeah.
Do you partake?
I do. Do you?
I do. I do.
We both knew that.
We both knew that. You guys didn't though. So yeah, no, I mean it was 420. It was a weird year. I usually have like a big themed like party of some sort. Like a couple years ago, 420 had fallen on Easter. It was the same day, and I had like an Easter egg hunt. And there was like we put like weed and like some of the eggs and like lighters and some of the other ones and like joints, and it was fun. And then one year I called it a potluck. Everybody brought like their different types of pot, and we all smoked it and we voted somehow. I don't know how, but
Y'all probably forgot.
we did. We voted. There was a winner. They won a pipe. It was pretty cool.
It would have been cool if y'all did a potluck, but everybody made a dish made with.
Everybody made a dish with pot in it. Well, this was a couple. That one was a couple years ago. I mean, so that was like before it was really legal and expensive, and we were young. And anyway, so I didn't get to do that this year. And then of course I go to Hash Bash every year in Ann Arbor, and they had to cancel that. So hopefully we'll get to go in the fall. So it's been weird, but thankfully the entire month of April 2020 is 420. So. So whatever,
We smoke weed all month long.
We've been over here celebrating all month,
As if you don't any other time.
Right. I mean, whatever. So, but yeah, that happened. And then 420 is also like, it's a weird day because like it's Hitler's birthday, which is weird. And then of course it's the anniversary of Columbine, which is another. Like, it's sad, so you've got all these stoners, and they're like, oh, man, that sucks. Pass me that blunt. They don't...
Yeah.
So it's just a weird, event. But, I don't know. We figured a good topic to talk about this week would be aliens.
Me?
Yeah, you. We're going to talk about you this week. But, yeah, we just, we thought that, aliens is it's a nice, good topic, and I think we should just keep it general this time around, and we can just kind of theorize a little bit.
Do you think you're an alien?
Do I think I'm an alien? That's a really good question. I probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. But is it like me as like an individual, or is it like as the human race are aliens?
Well, that depends on if you think humans are aliens.
That's
I don't think
true.
we're aliens because I think we actually did come from here, but.
You think we started here?
Yeah.
We started on Earth? That's a possibility. I mean, there's some, obviously there's like some religions and, just in different scientific studies that believe that we didn't come from here. We ended up being brought here, or we came here because, maybe we killed our previous planet, and so we're taking over the resources on this one, so.
Right, but you'd think they'd leave us with some kind of recollection.
That's true, but if it's happened over thousands and thousands of years, I mean, who knows? I mean, yeah, I don't think that's a very plausible explanation. For us being here, but I mean, I guess we'll just start there. Do you believe in aliens?
I do. I think I am one.
You do think you are one. Why?
Not like in the sense of like an extraterrestrial, but in a sense, yes. Like I am living a human experience, but I don't necessarily think that I am just human.
Okay.
I don't really know how to explain it other than that. Like, it's just a feeling I have. And, I mean, there are people that do call themselves Palladians or Syrians, and I don't identify with either one of those, probably because I've never really looked into it. But
right.
I've just always been looked at differently. Not even just for being trans, but just like in general. Like people see me and they generally feel like a good feeling, and like it's a different kind of feeling.
So then you become alien to them. Yeah.
So I mean, it could just be from the perception of others, but also, I do feel like a lot of this stuff is like not part of my soul's heritage. If that makes sense. Like I feel like this could potentially be my first time here on Earth in this body.
Well, then
Or
you're talking more.
in any physical body.
Then you're talking more like reincarnation.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people do go through cycles on this planet. I feel like there's multiple lives that they live on this planet, and I feel like this is my first one.
Okay.
And it might be my only one. I don't know. I don't know how all that works. I don't know if I'm just here for one specific reason, or if I just need to start my journey on living life after life on this planet until whatever. Because there's really no set oh, you live this many years on this planet or in this universe, or nobody knows what it takes to move beyond, or nobody knows. There's no way to know. So I mean,
yeah,
it's all kind of subjective.
That's true. I don't know. I guess I don't really think about things in that type of realm. Not because I'm not capable of thinking of those things, but because the fact of the matter is that for right now I am simply human and I'm not meant to know.
Yep.
And so I just kind of go with the flow. I think I'm different. I think I'm special. I think I'm different from a typical person. But other than that, I just haven't really tried to theorize too much, because then I feel like it's something that'll kind of make you go crazy. You're like, what am I? I just you like thinking about that.
You just have to take it as it comes.
Yeah,
it's
true.
not like I just sit there and think like, okay, who am I? Where did I come from? If something comes to me, I think about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
But it's like also
true.
my coworker, true. She's really into aliens and all that stuff.
Okay.
She she talks about light codes and things like that, and how they're transmissions, or
okay.
Well, I don't remember. She might not have said their transmissions. Don't let me put words in her mouth. But it was all kinds of
You didn't say a name yet, so we don't know who it is.
She's always talking about some crazy shit. And I love it. And that's kind of how me and her bonded. And she also believes that she's alien.
Okay.
And I told her that I've oftentimes felt alien myself. And, we kind of talked about things a little bit. And, I think that they're... from that conversation that me and her had, there is different species, and it just kind of depends on where you're from and if others will recognize you, or if they have the what did she call it? It's like a status.
Okay.
You have the status to acknowledge others, because there are certain people that come here on certain missions. So
okay.
It's some people have a higher regard mission, so they are able to realize when they're in the presence of others like themselves, whereas other people are not meant to have that kind of knowledge for their specific mission.
I guess I've never really read anything about that before.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I guess when I'm reading about aliens, I'm like, I don't know, just the traditional, grays, and
yeah.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I've definitely, done my work and looked into other things. I think that, of course, what we think is extraterrestrial, I think it's ultra terrestrial, and I think that's the only way that time travel, or not time travel, but space travel could happen. With aliens coming to visit us and whatnot, because it would just be... I think there's no technology that really exists for us to, get through space in a straight shot from, our planet to their planet or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of... I mean, I guess that's kind of more along the lines of the things that I look into. My ex-husband was a physicist student. He was studying astrophysics, and
I didn't know that.
yeah, he was in college for astrophysics, and he never did his homework, and I always did it for him, and like so, I'd get really into like string theory and stuff like that, just looking at the different dimensions, and then when you look at the different dimensions, well, you got to figure something lives in those dimensions, so that's kind of more my take on it. Do you think that people are abducted by aliens? Do you think that happens?
I think it could happen for sure. And I think that depends on, I guess, the type of alien.
Yeah.
If it was like something like a gray alien, they might do experiments. But if it's like an alien, like how my coworker talks about them, they could be like coming to like reconvene with that person as their true persona. And like, all right, this is your updated status. This is your updated mission. And then kind of like put them back here and like not necessarily allow them to remember what happened, but kind of just like get this strike of passion to do a specific thing or something, and they not really know where it came from. I don't know. It could happen, but I think that abductions have happened. I don't think there's a bunch of people just like, oh yeah, this happened to me. Like.
Well, like so. I don't know. I don't know about them. I'm undecided. I've been working on this the script for one of my YouTube videos about Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah.
And and their story's really fascinating because they saw this UFO and then they ended up losing a big chunk of time. And they got home. They were out driving around when they saw it, and then they get home and realize they lost a big chunk of time, and other weird things happened. But they didn't remember being abducted. And eventually down the line, they were they were put under hypnosis, and that's when they found out that they were abducted. Because they talked about it during the hypnosis sessions, and then even like during both of them being under hypnosis, they both had like coinciding stories. So yeah, I mean something like that is really strange. That's a weird case. So were they abducted? I don't know. I don't know if that's could it happen? I'm sure. I'm terrified of it. Aliens is one of my biggest fucking fear. And not like if there were aliens and they came down and like the president gets on TV and he's like, oh, aliens are here, that'd be fine. No, I'm terrified of like looking out my fucking window and there's a goddamn alien staring at me. Right. Like that is horrifying to me. I do not want that to happen.
Yeah, like what the fuck was that?
I'm just putting it out here right now, aliens. Don't fuck with me, okay? I keep a hammer on my bedside table, okay? Like, I will smash your shit up. Leave me alone.
Well, girl, now they know you keep a hammer there.
God fucking damn it. You're right. Now I gotta move it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Where are you gonna move it to?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say.
Good. I was testing you. Make sure you weren't dumb enough to fall for it.
I'm just saying. That, like I said, being abducted by aliens, the thought of that, like, it really horrifies me. So I'm not gonna lie. That is one of my biggest fears. Like, I'm not scared. Like, I don't give a fuck if my neighbor's an alien. Like, as long as they leave me the hell alone. Like,
right.
They can do whatever they want. You do you. But like I said, if I wake up in the middle of the night and there's a fucking alien standing over me, like, I'm gonna lose my shit. So. Yeah, I don't, so I don't know if people, I haven't been abducted, so I couldn't tell you if it is or isn't. Then you got the people that are, like, abducted, and then they have, like, implants, like, put into their bodies, and they'll, like, do, like, the scans and shit, and they'll, like, see the implants, and it's, like, a little metal piece, and it's, like, what is this, those have happened. And then, like, cattle mutilation is, that's weird, like, because it's so systematic. I mean, some people say it's just natural, just a natural rotting process, but it's not. Like, it's, or, just scavengers, and it's like, show me a fox that can just, perfectly cut out an eyeball. Like, like, how is that done? So that's strange.
With
and
the
then,
back claw.
Right.
That's the precision claw.
That's what they do. They go
know.
in there and they just scoop. And it just pops out perfectly. What cow's going to sit there and take that? I guess it could already die, but
just
still.
like imagine a cow like putting its like lips up to another dead cow's eye socket and just suck it out.
It's just other cows eating the fuck out of each other. That's where mad cow disease came from.
Right.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. But then of course other people say that like cattle mutilation can be like chupacabras, which is that's just a topic for another day. But yeah, the chupacabra. Fuck that.
What was that?
Up. Chupacabra.
The chupacabra.
Yeah. No, so it could be that or, I don't know. I mean, that's, and then of course crop circles,
Yeah.
Those are weird.
And you just got a crop circle floor in your Animal Crossing.
I did. I got a crop circle floor in my Animal Crossing. My Animal Crossing is going to be like public one day. I'm going to make sure everybody gets to visit it and stuff because it's specialty themed. So it'll be fun. But yeah, the crop circles. There's been some really weird ones. I mean, people say that like, it's just regular teenagers or something like that making those things. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you think they are? They're just big symbols. What do you think they would mean?
Well, I mean, it kind of looks like sigils.
They do look like sigils. They do look like sigils.
If I'm not mistaken, light codes look like sigils in a way, but through like frequencies.
Okay.
And there's really no way to, I guess, put that into a picture. I don't know. There might be. But I don't know. It could be something to just kind of like communicate something or invoke something. I don't know.
I think that crop circles could be like road signs or whatever, like for like other space travelers.
Yeah, because they'd have to see it from the air.
Right, and they're like, to get to sector B200, turn right. It's just.
Well, if that's the case, do you think the government is in cahoots?
No.
And helps them with that?
No, I think that like they'll put the crop circle down and then they'll get pissed off because the farmer or whatever will be like, well, get rid of their sign or whatever, and they'll come back and they're like, what the fuck? Like expect us to know it
Me
means
crops.
something. Right. I worked so hard on that. I don't know.
And the aliens are like, we worked so hard on that. Don't mess up my crop circle.
It's the aliens and the farmers that have an understanding. Fuck the government.
Or it's
cut out the middleman.
Right, or it's the aliens' way of playing a prank. Like
one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite urban legends is I guess not really urban legend, but like alien story, is this guy says that aliens came down one day and visited him at his house and asked him for, I think, water. It was something really simple. Or whatever, they just like asked him, and they like telepathically communicated with him that they needed this ingredient or something, and he gave it to them. And in return, they invited him to go on the ship, where there was multiple of these aliens, and one of them was making pancakes and gave him the pancakes, and so it's the space pancakes. And actually, Wright Pat Air Force Base supposedly has the pancakes. And they weren't on display for a couple years, and so eventually they took them out. But that's interesting because Wright Pat has its own history.
How did they keep the pancakes though?
I'm sure they preserved them some type of way. They were in something.
You know what? They probably had some crafty mom in there, like, oh, we could put Mod Podge on it.
Probably. They just set it up. Oh, people do that. I mean, like, well, I don't know. I don't know how they would preserve it. They but they had, I mean, I know they had them at some point on public display.
Would you eat the pancakes?
I mean, I wouldn't eat them, like, now, but...
Well, I mean, if you were on the ship and you were that person, would you eat the pancakes?
Yeah, I would. Actually, and the guy did. The guy ate some, and he said they weren't very good. Oh. He said they were not good.
I wonder if they call them pancakes.
They tested them, and it was pretty much it was pancakes, except no salt. And so it was weird. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they call them pancakes. They don't. They call them flying saucer cakes. That's what they look like.
Would you like some more sauces?
They're just, yeah, saucers. But no, that's kind of a silly one, I guess. But no, I mean, if anybody's going to have them, it's going to be Wright Pat. I mean, supposedly that's where that's where the Roswell bodies are.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever have you seen a UFO or anything like that?
No. I've called for one though. Like, bring me home.
Please, anywhere but here.
I'm just kidding. But
No.
I haven't. Like, I mean, I've seen like, I guess, weird stuff in the sky, but I don't necessarily.
I got a weird story.
Like, it kind of looked like one time I was looking in the sky and it was daytime.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a part of the sky that was blurry, and I thought my glasses were dirty, so I cleaned them. And then I put them back on, and it was still there. But then I seen it move away. Like, not just, like,
And it was
disappear.
It was one light? Like one...
No, it wasn't even a light.
It
It
was
just,
over there.
like, was, like, distortion in the
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
And it was, like, this, just... It looked like
I've
a bubble.
seen something like that. Where, like, the clouds almost look... Like, I used to have a picture of it. Oh, I wish I still did. I was, like, looking at my windshield, and it just looked really fucking weird, really distorted. But the way it made it look was if, like, it was like I was looking at it, my windshield was, like, wet. And,
Yeah.
like, you looked through it, and it wasn't. It was a dry, clear day outside. And I was like, that's weird. And then it just... I mean, it was there for a while, and I just was like, okay, took a picture of it, and what about my day? But, I've got a really weird UFO story. And it's a couple stories, so, because it's been something that's kind of followed me a little bit. So, I used to live not far from Wright Pat, of course, Ivy knows where my mom lives, but you guys don't, so.
And you probably shouldn't either.
My mom lives probably about what? 6 or 7 minutes away from Wright Pat. I mean, she's pretty close. Maybe about 10, 15.
Yeah, it's
maybe
about
10,
10,
15 with traffic. It's not far. And, so, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I'm just, pointing it out there. So one night I was outside and I was smoking a cigarette, and it was at nighttime. And, my view where I was looking for was just like a bunch of trees and stuff. But from the trees, I saw two lights. Like, it looked almost like fucking headlights in the sky. And it just kind of slowly crept over the trees. And it was huge. It was fucking massive. Because like I said, it looked like two headlights. It looks like the two lights were attached to the same object. They looked close. And it came over the trees. And I told you, my biggest fear is aliens. So, and I was like 18. This is a long time ago. And, I immediately, I start freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, no. This is it. This is the day.
I've made contact.
I was like, not me. And, so I was freaking out. I went into the house. I was scared. And then I came back out and it was gone. So, but then I immediately jumped onto, I Googled it. I Googled it. And I just wanted to see if other people had other, like sightings in the area or whatever. And there was this website of this database of just Ohio UFO sightings. And so I went on it and I was looking at, whatever, other people had. And other people did. Other people had, similar sightings the same night. So that was interesting. But I forgot all about this actually until just now. There was one and it scared the shit out of me. And it was this person posting about how they saw this UFO, and then they had creatures coming to visit them almost every night, some weird little creatures, just the same shit, it's the goddamn Kentucky Goblins all over again. And they were being terrorized. I swear to God, they were being terrorized. And of course, at the time, I didn't know about other stuff. So,
right.
But it scared the shit out of me. I was like, I don't want that to happen to me. I was so scared. So anyway, a couple years later, probably about 2 years later, really wasn't that long. I was on Craigslist, and I don't remember what I was searching, but you know,
They never do.
you know. But I can't. There was this ad, and it was this guy interviewing people that had like UFO encounters. He had this like really nice, typed out thing, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a student at Wright State University. I'm working on this specific project. I'm trying to get interviews with people that have had like alien or UFO encounters." So I reached out to him, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll meet. Whatever." And so I met him at a local coffee shop. I took my husband with me, and we met at a local coffee shop, and everything was fine. We did the interview. He had like a tape recorder, and then he left. And that was over. Well, a couple of years later, I'm on Craigslist again, and the same fucking ad was on there. And that's weird, right? Because this guy was he said he was a student, and he was working on a school project, so it's like, it was the exact, I swear to God, the exact same
just
thing.
like making people like...
But write that same fucking message and put it on Craigslist. It was so weird. I was tempted to like reach out to him and be like, yeah, interview me, and like meeting up with him and seeing if like, but I'll tell you, when I think about it, I don't even remember what that guy looks like. Maybe he was a Men in Black.
He could have been.
Right. I mean, maybe he works for the government. He goes around getting these people's stories and he uses a cover of like, I'm a student, this is why I'm doing this, to see like what people know, or like if they're a threat or anything like that. It was really strange. I thought it was really strange. And so that all kind of stemmed from my own personal UFO. And then of course I've seen the Tic Tac also. Have you seen that?
The Tic Tac?
Yeah, it's just like a tube in the sky. It's like a little... looks like a Tic Tac, or it's like a white tube of some sort. And usually they're out during the day. You see them during the day. Those are like a big thing right now. Those are so in, those Tic Tac UFOs.
I do remember this one time. My parents lived in Springfield, and I came out there and stayed with them for a week. And my brother Jonathan was living there, and like we went out for a walk, and there's like this like line of trees, and then on the other side there was like this light that was like coming up like towards the sky.
Okay.
And I look at Jonathan and I'm like, what the fuck is over there? And like we both knew that there wasn't like, the city wasn't that way, there wasn't any like neighborhoods or factories or anything over there that could be causing that light source.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, what the fuck? So we kept walking to see if like maybe like there was a field on the other side of it that like went back. So it's like you're walking down the street and this line of trees is on your left, and then at the end of the line of trees there's a field on the left.
Okay.
So it kind of like went back a little bit. So we walked to the end, and we were thinking it was going to be a short walk. Bitch, it was about an hour walk.
Wow, just because it was straight and it just looked shorter than it was.
Yeah. And so we get down there, and then it's just more trees along the side of the field, but we still couldn't see anything that was going on inside of that wooded area.
See if somebody was like releasing something or something.
Right,
like that.
see what was going on. And so we were just like, whatever, it's probably just like some tractor with its headlights on or something. But so we go home, and the next day we were actually telling my mom about it, and we went driving, and like there's literally like no farms or houses, like there wasn't a tractor in that field.
Yeah.
And there's really no like direct roads to get into that area. So it's like, yeah, you'd go to either side of it, and the road was like at least like 5 miles out before you could turn left or right. And the one road, and it only went to the opposite way, so it didn't even go towards like the wooded area, so we couldn't even go around it. It was really weird. And then that night we went out there, and you couldn't see the lights. We went out every night that week
to try to find it.
There was no lights out, just to kind of see like what was going on.
Yeah.
So that when we went out there that next night and there wasn't any lights coming from that wooded area, we went out there the night after, and then the night after, and the night after. Because it wasn't far from where we lived. All we'd have to do is, like, go to the end of the driveway and we could see it.
Yeah. There was nothing.
Yeah, it was weird.
That is weird. Yeah, UFO encounters are, it's a weird thing. I used to, when I first got my driver's license and, you know, I was a kid and I didn't have anything else to do with my time, I used to go park it at Wright Pat. There's like a parking lot you can park at, like, pretty much, like, right across the street from it.
Oh, yeah, that's where people watch the fireworks.
Yeah. And I used to park over there and sit in the car and just watch the sky and wait. Because I don't know. I think that actually the other day I was driving and I was going to my friend's oddity store, and the GPS took me a really weird way. And it took me to a side of Wright Pat that I've never seen. Because a couple of years ago, they started building more onto Wright Pat. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of extends into Fairborn now.
Yeah.
You know? And I drove back there, and there's like a big fucking satellite and shit back there. Looks like the fucking Death Star.
Is it by the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
There's actually a hospital back there too.
Is there?
Yeah.
It was scary.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing back here? Am I supposed to be back here?
Yeah, it's real
It was
creepy
weird.
back there.
It was really weird. I had no idea. I'm like, what is this? So, yeah. And I was, like, I've gotten kind of lost around the area before. When they were building it, there was like a way, the GPS systems weren't quite caught up. And so the way it used to take you would be like right through the center of the base. And so, which is now the base, but it wasn't before. You know, it used to be main streets. You could travel them. And you could easily, you know, the GPS would take you right to the entrance of Wright Pat, right through it. And they'd stop you. Like, you're not allowed to go in there. You know, they're like, you can't be here. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, even that,
I got lost.
that area where people watch the fireworks.
Yeah.
Like, if you go towards Fairborn, off on the right, like after the museum and the base itself, there's all those old buildings that they don't use anymore.
Yeah, that they don't use anymore.
Yeah.
I've heard that they've got underground tunnels there where they house stuff.
Yep, they do. And that can be confirmed by anybody who works at Wright Pat.
Right, the civilians, the people that, you know, work there, they're just regular people that work there, you know, they all have their, you know, they know things.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're not telling. Do you remember, I think it was sometime last year, it was pretty recently, where, like, all of a sudden on the news and shit, they were talking about how Wright Pat was under lockdown, and there was, like, a shooter on base or whatever, and, I mean, it was a big deal, it went on for hours, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, never mind, it was just something. I mean, they just made up some weird excuse, but had locked down the entire base. It's like...
It was probably some kind of security breach, and alien got loose.
So I think something might have gotten loose, and they had to catch it again. I think so. You know, because it was so strange. Like I said, the whole base was on lockdown. Our local news was trying to, you know, report on it. They're like, we don't know anything. It went on for a couple hours. It wasn't just like, I mean, it wasn't like breaking news 1 second, and then they're like, oh, never mind, false alarm. It went on for a long time. And, you know.
Well, they had the military choppers.
Yeah.
Remember? Because everybody was flipping out about the military choppers.
Yeah.
Thinking it was going to be martial law when Obama was in office.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was that Wright Pat thing.
It was so weird. It was very strange. So, I mean, there's definitely some shit going on over there. I mean, that's for sure. You know, I don't know.
Well, and they're such a strong base. Like, they're going to know if anything is coming.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
And it's like, that would be the place to fucking store aliens because they're so advanced. They have so much technology to be able to, like, be aware of, like, what's coming.
I mean, I think they do, like, regular military stuff there, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, I think they do that, but I think that they put them there because, I don't know, well, why would they put them there and not Area 51? You know, why would they? Maybe because everybody expects. But Area 51, you really cannot get into. You are not fucking allowed. Like,
well, that's just
for
allowed. Humans, though. Like,
what do you mean?
If the aliens were to come for their people or, you know, come to get a certain piece of technology, it'd have to be somewhere, like, that would be able to allow them to not be able to do that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, but what I'm saying is, like, with Bright Pat, like, you or I could get a job working there, and we could go there every single day. Like, that's acceptable. And then they've got the museum. You can go see the museum there and stuff like that. You can't do that shit at Area 51. Like, they're not going to hire you, or, there's no museum there. Like, they won't let you within a fucking radius of the place. So it's like,
But there's parts of Right Pat that normal
that you're not allowed
civilians
into.
can't
Yeah, that's very
access.
true. Well, and it's so big. We're talking, this spans cities
Yeah.
now. I mean, it does. It
Well,
starts off in, like, what, river? Is that Riverside right there? Is that still Kettering? What is that?
Riverside.
I think that's Riverside, and extends all the way out to Fairborn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a big
it's
space.
huge.
It is. It's huge. And you really don't suspect it when you just, on the main strip, you're there in Woodman and you're driving down the street. And there, there it is. You don't suspect that it's as big as it is,
Right.
but it is, it is definitely very large. And then if they've got the underground tunnels and things like that, then that, that would make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think that they definitely have some shit. I think that they definitely have some alien bodies there.
Well, my friend, who's actually my ex, his mom actually, I don't think she works there anymore. But she did. But she ended up getting cancer. I don't want to say what kind, but just in case. You never know who's listening. And she like her duties were like top secret. Like she can't talk to her family about anything.
Wow.
She can't even acknowledge what she does, basically. And for her to get into her office, there's a part of the building where you have to have the badge to get through, like most parts. But if you open the door, only one person can go through. So each individual person has to scan. So even if there's a line,
yeah,
they have to scan their badge.
Well, honestly, Victoria's Secret was a lot like that. And I mean, it was really hot. It was a high security area, and in case you guys don't know, I worked at the corporate offices of Victoria's Secret. And when you went in or whatever, as soon as you walk in you can walk in the front door, but there's a desk area, and you can't get past the desk area without scanning your shit in. And they would have big parties and stuff, and all the employees, they'd have a Christmas party, and you could bring your family and stuff like that. But they would block off a certain, you could get in those first doors that you have to scan in. You can get in those, but you can't get past. Then there's the cafeteria. You can't get past the cafeteria. And you get in trouble for taking pictures and shit back there, just because they got all their clothes. They would have stuff out, the big displays of stuff, of stuff that they're getting ready to release and things like that. So if a lingerie store has that kind of security on lingerie, I mean, imagine the hoops you got to jump through to get, fucking military secrets, because, that's, that's not so important. But yeah, I mean, I could see it. Like I said, when when we've accidentally almost entered that area, they'll get angry. They'll get very upset. It's scary.
Well, yeah, they'll have guns.
Oh yeah, they'll draw their fucking guns on you. Then they will shoot you. They will. They don't care. That's what they're supposed to do. But yeah, it's pretty wild, I guess. And I think about that a lot. I think about, I've thought about if something big were to happen, how Bright Pat would be, one of the places, just in basic war, Bright Pat would be a target, and we're close to that, or, God forbid, a fucking alien invasion, or like you said, they're coming back for their people.
Right.
And I live right up the road, and I'm like, oh no. It's scary to think about that, but, yeah, so I don't know, I mean, there's different, there's different things when it comes to aliens in general. It's a pretty general topic. I think as we go on, we'll probably look at more specific cases and stuff like that, or details and things. Are they out there? Yeah, absolutely. We would be so fucking stupid to think that we are the only real intelligent species out there.
Yeah.
That would just be I mean, that would be really dumb on our parts because, the universe is fucking infinite.
Yeah.
At least, well, I think there's multiverses personally. I think there's multiple universes, and so that makes, it's infinite. There's no way that there's not another planet that's inhabited by, you know.
Right. Well, there's probably even things that we can't even see that are here on this earth.
Right.
Just because they're beyond our perception doesn't mean that they don't exist.
Just like the ultra terrestrials. Yeah, exactly. And they can go from planet to planet and jump through space and time. So I mean, I just think it would just be so dumb to think that there's no possibility. I mean, and not just like microscopic life. Like we found, microscopic life out there. So I mean that tells us right there, But when you talk about like space travel and stuff like that, it's so vast, like the sun. The sun is going to die one day. One of these days, it's going to die. We are going to die with it. She's going to, and we're going to die with it. And but the fucked up thing is that because of like how like light years and shit work, like when it happens, like we might know it because we might be able to have like measurements at the time, but we won't die right away. Like we'll know that it's dead and that we are going to die, and then we've all got to just sit here and wait for it to happen, because the way light travels and shit like that, it's so weird. It's so bizarre to think about. So if we can't even like grasp the concept of like our own sun dying and like how that would play out and stuff like that, then there's no way we can grasp other life. I just don't think we're meant to. But I mean, do you think that we'll make a alien discovery in our lifetime? Do you think that we'll accept that in our lifetime?
I mean, potentially. I think there's a lot of people that are raising their vibration and allowing for peaceful contact.
I know, but in our lifetime, that's a long time. That's a lot of change to ask.
You just gotta get them boomers out of here, girl. For more than one reason.
Yeah, we gotta get the boomers out. If we get the boomers out, we're good. But you ain't wrong. Them Karens.
Right. Be gone.
We gotta call Karen on this one. Get Karen on the
Karen
case.
on the case.
Get Karen on the case. Karen, what about those aliens? She'll find out. She'll walk right in the right path.
Right. I need to speak to your manager. Do you think Karen on the case, do you think case is spelled with a K or Karen is spelled with a C? That's the conspiracy.
That's the conspiracy.
I think I'm going to need to see Karen's manager.
Let's go on here, Karen.
I'm trying to think if I know any Karens with
Who manages
with a C.
Karen? I don't know any Karens with a C.
I think I know one.
I'll tell you, I know one Karen. I do. I know one Karen, and she is the greatest woman. I mean, she really is. Like, but because she's a good person and, she's not a sore loser, she can laugh about the Karen thing. She's not, and she is older, she's a boomer.
Yeah.
But she's great. She's wonderful. So,
That's how the Karen I know is. I grew up with her in church, and she is just the most pleasant woman ever.
Right.
Like, she's so sweet.
Right.
I don't know how she views the whole Karen thing, because I haven't seen her since that's kind of made an uprising. Message her on Facebook.
How do you feel about being a Karen?
Right. Maybe that's what we should do one day, is just message all the Karens. Be like,
well, and that's another thing. So, like, every Karen I've met has been great. And then, like, on social media right now, you've got the Karens talking about how it's a racial slur. But
oh, come on.
Have you not seen that?
No.
Yeah, they're saying that being called a Karen is the equivalent of being called the N-word. Yeah.
Oh,
they really are. They really are saying that. And but when you look at like the people talking about it, the people preaching about it, their names aren't even fucking Karen. None of them are a Karen. And then like if you look at like comments and stuff from other people that are Karens, they're like, "Well, my name's Karen," and I think it's funny. So like that's the conspiracy right there. None of those manager bitches is ever a Karen. It's always like a Stephanie or an Emily here.
That says more about how they define the way they say Karen.
Right. What are you trying to say?
Because ain't nobody else viewing it as a racial slur.
Like when people sexualize kids, and it's like, well, why are you doing that? And stuff like that. Now people are People are attaching, just discrimination, I guess, to Karen.
Grouping Karen in with pedophiles. No, that's fucked up.
I'm just saying. That's the conspiracy.
That's the conspiracy.
Oh, well, good. We got to squeeze in some Karen talk in there. I think Karen might be a regular. I think we should make Karen on the case a weekly
let's do it.
thing. I'm enjoying it. We can,
Karen on the case.
we can maybe we can hire a Karen. If any of you are a Karen,
Right. We could randomly interview one Karen a week
yes,
and just kind of like see what they think on our week's topic.
so we can get Karen on the case. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, Karen on the case.
I think we need to bring in a Karen here and see what she thinks. Well, anything else you think we should cover on aliens, or
No, not really.
you think we should just leave the deeper subjects for another Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
I think so.
I don't know, it'll just get way too long.
I think so. I think we've covered the basics here. I mean, if you
The
guys...
basics.
I guess we didn't go into like details of what aliens look like and shit. But if you guys don't have an idea of what an alien is, like, you're already a lost cause. So.
Right. We said alien,
Sorry.
and if something didn't pop in your head, something wrong with you.
That's your problem. So, okay. Well, guys, I guess we are going to end it here for now. We will be back next Wednesday with more weirdness. Bye.
Bye.